Okay, well, yesterday I apparently had a plan with my Titanic mechanical griffin. It actually sold, so there is no plan anymore. I sold it. I got all my gems back that I spent within the past few days on this event and some giveaway pets. I will have to pick a day where I will be hosting this event because I did spend a lot of gems on what we have inside of this one little box, and there's still more to come. They're all signed, by the way. All of the pencil pets are inside of this one singular box. I'll have more information on that hopefully here soon when it's filled up to 90, what is it, 100 or 99? I don't remember. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with today's video. The amount of people that I have been hearing and I have been visually seeing struggle getting past certain maps. I'm not gonna lie, I did too, until I learned how to spam a ton of units that just, I guess, made sense for me. For Happy Castle, what I ended up doing was I was spamming, I'm not even joking either, do not underestimate the monkey, okay? I was spamming a ton of these little guys and it helped me out so much. We're gonna go ahead and go through this real quick. Obviously, I know some of you guys already passed through this with flying colors, but we'll go ahead and go to the 6th level because it is a little bit more difficult once you get to that last area. I'm not even kidding, I put down a ton of monkeys. It was probably a little overkill, but it's better to be safe than sorry, right? So I have a few of the little dynamite pandas, one of the frostbite griffins on one side, the other is placed on the other, with a samurai axolotl and I believe a spider at some point. This helped me out greatly, and remember, this is the 6th and final map for the Happy Castle. Here's the final layout for absolutely everything for the final section, and that is it. Okay, so we are on the final section for the Twisted Beach section. The only difference is, remember, this is going to be a little difficult when it comes to placements. So we are going to kind of pretty much prepare for what's going to be coming from this area and from this area. You're going to have two sections that are going to have breakables. However, they're going to kind of like split apart, and this is where it kind of gets confusing for me. I remember spending at least 30 minutes trying to figure out how this works, and eventually I did figure it out. And since we are playing before any type of fixes were done, now we can go ahead and see if this is actually going to be a lot slower, because at some point the breakables were blasting through and it was confusing a lot of players, including myself. So we're gonna go ahead and just let this go on one speed and just see how far this goes. Okay, so I can kind of get an idea of having to place some little babies right over here, and they're doing actually pretty okay right now. So we're on wave 2, so I don't have to worry about too much stuff that's currently going on. Okay, so starting off, you're going to notice a couple of pets near the bottom area. I put those there just in case if I zoned out and I didn't pay attention. If anything, you don't need to have these placed there. You are going to pay attention to the midsection where I placed a majority of the pet, and when you do so, they'll do absolutely fine. So we're obviously watching the pets break everything relatively quickly. I do, however, at some point need to go ahead and start focusing on the boss chests that are going to be coming in at wave 15. And this is just mostly me upgrading a couple of the pets. That way they can go ahead and aggro early rather than too late. So you're still going to go ahead and focus on that, and then obviously we're going to look at the final placement for the pets. And this is pretty much the beach section part 2. Okay, so this is where the difficulty kind of kicks in for a lot of players. This is the final section for the fantasy world. I believe this is the 3rd section of the map, so be careful when you are in here. We are on level 6 for this. Now, you're going to notice breakables immediately blasting out. Again, I don't know if they slowed it down, but I did preemptively think about this prior, so we're going to go ahead and start placing pets over in this area. Your pets, for some reason, at the time when I did do this the first time around, for some odd reason, they were not aggroing when breakables were coming in this area here. So any pets that are placed here early on are not going to really do anything. So we're going to go ahead and get prepared for this. I do have to say though, I might fail this one or twice. We'll have to see. This one always had me on my toes immediately, so I have to be a little careful placing who and where and what. All right, so we got some monkeys down. I'm going to go ahead and let this go. We're going to put this on 1 speed though. Yeah, look how quickly they're moving. They were going faster before, but like you guys can see how fast they're basically moving. I am gonna have to wait for this little guy to start freezing these, so that way this slows everything down and we don't have to worry about too much. All right, let's make this go by a little bit more quicker because I want to see what happens. Okay, so they're moving a lot less slower this time around, so thank goodness. Before they were moving super duper fast. All right, now we need to bring in a big baby here, which is the dynamite panda, and we're gonna have to bring in another dynamite panda right over here. I would say another choke point pet would be like good, maybe right about here? I would say so. So we have like a ton of monkeys again. I'm not even kidding. Monkey carries you if you're like panicking or whatever. If you're panicking to place pets down, Monkey does so good. All right, so we've got them breaking a ton of stuff. I'd say it's pretty much safe to go ahead and start putting some extra pets around. Finally, right? So let's go ahead and start placing a little panda here once I get enough coins. There we go. That little panda could go ahead and do some stuff. We'll put a monkey down here just in case. There we go. They're aggroing finally. Oh my gosh, dude, you don't understand the pain that we had before when the update first came out. None of the pets were aggroing on anything. All right, we're gonna start noticing that they're not doing as much damage as you want them to do. So you're gonna have to slow it down for a second and get prepared to start putting some more pets down. This means slowing things down, putting them at choke points, your two little frostbite griffins here, and then you're going to place an additional pet right there so that way you could zap it. We're gonna add some little burn babies there so the little babies can go ahead and burn the heck out of the breakables. Whatever they did, they're just gonna go ahead and apply a burn effect. We're gonna add a little baby panda right over there. Look how much this little thing over here is still staying alive, which is crazy. All right, now we can go ahead and start focusing on upgrading their little thingies because you're gonna need that now. You're only on wave 8. So yes, you are going to go ahead and upgrade everything as much as possible because you're gonna need it. Trust me, you're gonna need it. All right, so now I wanna go ahead and focus on what we can go ahead and replace because again, remember at the end of the day, if you can replace something that wasn't working before and wasn't strong enough, you can go ahead and replace them with something else entirely different. So we're gonna go ahead and sell the little monkey and we're gonna go ahead and replace it with this little guy right here. And you don't necessarily need to use a panda exactly. I'm just using the panda because it's like the first thing I can think of when I'm doing this. Gonna use a little torpedo cat. We're gonna replace this little monkey and replace it with another little panda. We're just pretty much keeping things at bay at this point, which is what you kind of want. Dude, look at the little pandas, dude. They're going crazy. Go, little panda, go. All right, there we go. So now we got the big boss chest coming out, and this is just the first one. Yeah, dude, they're doing so good right now. They're strong little babies. All right, we're gonna slow this down for a second because I'm not gonna be able to pay attention to what's coming out of the thing right away. So we're gonna replace it with the torpedo baby, upgrade that, buy a little monkey, replace with another little torpedo baby, and another torpedo little baby. Boom, 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 boom. Torpedoes for days. Dude, these little guys right here are just keeping everything at the beginning section, which is amazing. So we are on wave 13 right now. All right, so it's finally kicking in, and yeah, we're gonna have to upgrade some stuff. Granted, you don't necessarily need to worry about it too much. I mean, they're doing really good. Everybody's doing so good. So we're gonna place another little torpedo baby over there. Dude, torpedo baby is OP right now. I'd say this is pretty much solid at this point. All right, I'm just replacing everything with like torpedo cats at this point because I'm pretty much done with the waves. All right, slow down because now it's all boss chest all around. All right, we're gonna go ahead and put him there. That way it's gonna go ahead and aggro and everybody's just here chilling at this point. Dude, everybody's just chilling at this point. All right, we can go ahead and speed it up and we should be safe and a-okay after this. So this is what I did for literally the first time that I ended up completing this round was placing a ton of monkeys, and once I started to notice the monkeys were okay to replace, I started to go ahead and replace them with other pets. You're essentially going to go ahead and do this once we start hitting the next maps. Okay, so we are finally going to hit the Sakura Cliff. Now, this is where it's gonna get a little hard. It's gonna get a little hard for players. Okay, this is where I noticed that a lot of people aren't able to necessarily pass, and you have to start getting prepared to start using a little bit higher tier pets. And they don't have to be too crazy. Monkey still works in this whole method. So, if you do have a ton of the unit XP points at this point, the little tokens, you're gonna start needing to use those ASAP on pets that you really want to use these on. Okay, so what I ended up doing was actually placing a lot of the little units right in the middle section where the bridge is at. And that's where most of everything is going to kind of condense and is going to be controlled in. You may or may not have one or two breakables that actually may make it to the end. That's why I have two little monkeys over there to basically get rid of the extra breakables. That might be Rogue and Fly over there. But pretty much what you're going to end up doing is placing all the monkeys down and slowly replace things as you go. This time around though, I decided to go ahead and replace a majority of the monkeys with the little torpedo cats because, to be honest, those things actually are really good. Pair that up with a couple of frost griffins and you are all set. Alright, so this is it. Finally slow down into normal speed, and you guys are actually watching this pretty much live. You're physically seeing everything that's just going on right now, and everything boss related is being controlled at that little bottom portion. Do not underestimate Baby Kitten, because Baby Kitten really took everything out. So this is the mapping layout, just in case you have to re-see it, and this is it. Okay, so this is the final mapping guide. Now, this is where it's going to be a little interesting because I only made it so far in the Heaven Spiral. And remember, again, this is before they did any buffs for us specifically and slowing things down. Even with the Titanic mechanical griffin, this was almost impossible for me to do. So this is a bit of a forewarning. This is kind of where you need to replace pets with things that are a little bit better. So I am going to go ahead and replace the Samurai Tech Axolotl with the Forge Armadillo. I'm not going to go too crazy on like all the pets because everything here regardless is still going to be utilized. We do need to start off slow and then work our way up with certain pets. So hope for the best and I don't have to redo this a couple of times, otherwise I'm gonna look like a bozo. So the final area is always so interesting for me. Now, obviously we are on the sixth and final section of this entire area. Now remember, I did do this as a pay-to-win player, meaning that I used the mechanical Titanic Griffin, the Capybara, the huge Zeus Bear, everything that you can think of, I did use. But the problem is the breakables move so fast that the pets do not react to aggroing absolutely anything until it's too late. So unfortunately, I'm not able to actually complete this entire thing out, which is the reason why I haven't finished out the entire thing. Now, obviously, this is primarily using just monkeys and dynamite pandas. I don't know why, for whatever reason, that the breakables decide to they move so quickly that the pets are not able to react quick enough in order to break them. I'm not sure if anybody else is having this issue as well, but they're moving too quickly. Okay, so I skipped ahead to where the breakables would actually come out, and obviously you guys are watching it real time. This isn't me speeding it up or anything. We do have the speed denominator thing right over there at 1 time, so it's moving just at normal speed. So you can visually see that the pets are struggling just a little bit on keeping up. Now, at some point, I do actually start replacing as quickly as I can before the breakables reach a certain point. I'm hoping that maybe the frostbite griffins can actually slow them down, but even then, they still move so fast. What it would be at a normal speed is what they're moving at once they're frozen. This would be considered a normal speed rate, but because they're so quick, even at the normal speed that they're going once they're frozen is still too quick. And this is again without using any of the pay-to-win pets that we have inside of the game currently. So I'm gonna go ahead and test this out with 2 other pets which are pay-to-win. This is without the mechanical griffin because I don't have it anymore. Now, this is another thing to kind of actually note is when you do bring your pets over there, they actually have to be a relatively high level. So maybe it could just be a culmination of me using baby pets that are not high enough level to actually be here, or maybe genuinely they're moving a little too fast, even if you have a high tier pet. So what I am going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and try to replace what I can with the Capybara. I don't think the Zeus Bear is going to make it in time, but I am still going to go ahead and try to use this. I'm going to go ahead and replace the Torpedo Cat with this real quick, and we'll go ahead and go from there. So we'll place a couple of monkeys down in this little area, and this is just to kind of control what we have going on. I wouldn't really recommend putting any of the pets at the beginning of the area over here, not so early at least. So I'm gonna go ahead and start placing a capybara right over here, and over here. And that way, if anything does kind of like make it over there, I do have that little bit of control over there, just in case, because you never know. Okay, so I am kind of nervous about this. I'm not sure why they're moving so quickly. Again, it could just be a culmination of a couple of things. Maybe it's because they're too low level. Maybe it could be whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's because the pets are too slow. I don't know. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start the round real quick. I do have 1,000 left, but I am just gonna leave it be just to see. Okay, so we do have a couple of rogue breakables that are making it over there without the pets actually reacting to it. So I'm gonna put this little frostbite griffin over here. I'm gonna upgrade it just a tiny bit, and then I'm gonna see if I'm able to afford another one right over here. So we do have a couple of breakables breakables that are still making their way over to the Coliseum over here, which is what we don't want. We don't want that. And they're still making their way over there. Even with the capybaras, they're still making their way over there, which is kind of crazy to me. So I'm gonna put the Zeus bear right here just in case. Maybe that'll do something. No, it doesn't do anything. Wait, it's slowing things down, but it's still not enough. Oh my gosh, it's still not enough. They're not gonna make it. This is not gonna make it. Oh my god, it actually made it. Okay, let me try to hurry up with this, because if this is kind of what we have to do to basically control everything, then we do have to figure out what would work out for this. Oh my gosh, dude, we're on wave 5. No way. This is not happening. This is actually insane to look at. I don't think I'm gonna have enough for the extra Zeus bear. No, it's not gonna be enough. Yeah, no, I don't know what's wrong with this section. I don't know if it's, again, because of the low level pets, what recommended level pet that you should obviously have. I do have a level 60, a level 66, a level 64 going in this area, but the breakables are moving too quickly for whatever is going on in this area. So I'm not entirely sure what the heck is happening. But hey, as long as you're able to unlock the final section over here, and you don't necessarily need to actually go too crazy with it, from what I've seen, I was able to unlock the 5th area, and I was still able to unlock the actual section for the extra like unit I can put in, and that's all that really matters. Not unless you're trying to get into this area to do the infinite for your clan, stuff like that. That's where it would really matter. It's not necessary unless you really want to get inside of here for the big points that you would get for your clan. This is not necessary for the casual player, and for myself, I'm not gonna do that, so I don't really care about it other than getting the additional slot which is needed. Once you have everything completed out, you can go ahead and choose which other map that you want to go ahead and focus on for the infinite mode. Now obviously this is going to carry on for your clan. The different variations that I believe that you do, they end up stacking towards your clan points, and you go from there. And this would also include if somebody were to, for example, unlock this area here. This is where the most clan points would actually come in, but the problem is you have to figure out how to unlock this area here by beating it. And because I don't have that kind of brain power and that patience, then you know, it's a bunch of hooey, and I don't feel like doing it. But this is to just primarily give you guys an understanding how to unlock everything here and unlock all the spaces that you need for extra units. Hopefully this actually helps you guys out. Hopefully I explained this as much as I could, because I didn't know what the heck I was talking about most of the time. And again, like I said before, I do have a plan to give away. I'm just not sure exactly when. For everything that's inside of this box, I do have to figure out when I'm going to be doing it. Obviously I do have to fill everything up. Everything inside of this box is currently signed. So make sure you guys like the video and subscribe if you're brand new. Obviously, you know, this does help me come out with more content like this for you guys, and you guys can stay in the loop of when is this giveaway thing happening. And until then, I will see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye. Okay, bye.